Welcome back to my Minecraft world where I built the Parthenon. This little building first is just a little structure I had built to be near a train station. It was in my second world and I kind of placed it here with MC Edit. I'm going to go ahead and get on this minecart and take a little drive. Go up here, you can see the Parthenon. Get off here and run up there. It's the Parthenon is the most recent thing I've built in this save game, in this world. And I never did get around to making a staircase that goes all the way up here yet, so it's a little bit of a hike. Um, from up here, you can see the two spear holding statues that were at the end of near the end of my last video. And this is the Parthenon, all built out of marble and some other stuff to give it some interest. A little bit of snow. I didn't complete the inside. There's no statues or art of any sort in here. With a ladder over there to go to the roof. There's a stair that goes down to sort of a basement where I stored materials and evidently a suit of armor. And where I spent a lot of time in there building everything, putting things together. Had to drag all the marble here from wherever I'd gathered it in the nether and all that. And I guess I might as well go find that ladder I saw and go up to the top of the building. There it is. Okay, these are all trapdoors. Make for a neat looking roof though. And they look sort of similar to the way the Parthenon actually looked. Just sort of an access way to get up here. Some of these things you don't even see anywhere else. And then again, this would be where I believe there's a big statue in the Parthenon now. And then if we go out the other side, this is I guess technically the front side, you can see a bridge over there that leads to the next area we're going to be going. So that's the Parthenon. Took me some time, a lot of repetitive movement and stuff, but it turned out pretty good. Down there and find my minecart. Okay. So this next chunk of stuff is some of the earliest stuff I built. This is my second world, which was then all moved over by MC Edit into this world when I started this world. That's kind of where it was copied and pasted in, so you've got a giant cliff there that I covered with vines. And that is the Colosseum, although kind of a wrecked version of the Colosseum. And that is the Pantheon. And I spent a fair amount of time building these things. And then up ahead is my first floating castle. This is floating over a stronghold, and I kind of tried to build it in some sort of build it to make it look kind of twisted and weird and like it doesn't really make sense. So anyway, we've got a couple other towers that I've built. I'm going to go ahead and go up to the top of this first, so we can kind of see with the Colosseum. You can see the Parthenon in the distance there, and there's the Pantheon. I'm going to come back up here and go to this castle in a little bit. We'll go down and look at those real quick. So the Colosseum was one of the first buildings I built. Why I wanted to build a Colosseum, I don't know. But I recommend going and seeing it yourself someday because it is bigger than you would have ever thought. After looking at the real building, I realized that I probably built this one a little bit on the small side. And I basically looked at some old some drawings of what they thought it looked like when it was first built, and then kind of made my own version of that. And then covered it in vines, and here it is with just dirt and stuff in the middle because my idea was that it has been sitting here for hundreds of years and nobody's been here and it hasn't been touched. And this whole section I have the sort of the bleachers where people would sit and stuff, but this section over here I kind of made it look kind of wrecked and damaged. Have some loose blocks sitting around down in here, and sort of like it's part of that mountain now. Um, and then just sort of a strange obelisk in the middle of the whole thing. There's a miniature version of the Parthenon over there. It's only about half size of the one that I just showed you, and probably not worth going and seeing because why when you've got a much bigger one that we've already seen. There's also a passageway here somewhere that leads to the Pantheon, so I'm going to go take that. I believe it goes this way. I'd like to build a lot of underground tunnels and things like that in between various things that I build. Extra pathways. Sometimes I'll build houses in the middle of nowhere where I'm doing something or whatever. And what a strange place for a sheep. And we are inside the Pantheon. This is another one that I actually saw in person, and I've always wanted to kind of go back and redo this video as a result. But it's pretty big and pretty open. There's not much inside. A lot of the detail that actually is inside I never put in because I didn't really know what it looked like. I'm going to go sleep real quick so it can be daytime and we'll have an easier time seeing everything. Okay. Here it is from the front. Giant pillars, giant structure, vines all over the place. Pretty cool. This is also from my second world. Both the Colosseum and the Pantheon were, all these structures right here were in my second world, built near this stronghold that this floating castle is over the top of. There it is again. And then you got, that's the bridge that we just came in on the railroad on. And this is a stairway going back up to the castle. There's also a giant flower garden over here, which I suppose I should just head toward anyway. It kind of fell apart. I planted a bunch of flowers and then they started dying or disappearing or something. I put a bunch of torches down and it seemed to help them. I'm not sure why they went away, but I built a big flower garden. I have a sort of a guy with a stick and a sword here and a statue and then sort of a giant hourglass shape in the middle of it. And there is the floating castle, my first floating castle. I built some land underneath it to make it look like the land was somehow floating and holding it up in the air. And I built a weird spiral staircase that goes up here with two waterfalls going down through it. And then I've got one tower up, one tower down, stairs going down, then up to there, and then back down here. It kind of looks like something from M.C. Escher. Anyway, that's that floating castle. So we need to go up there now. Now if you take this path down around this way, it leads to a huge underground staircase that leads to the stronghold that is underneath here, kind of under the floating castle. And I kind of dug that whole thing out. It's a pretty epic looking staircase. And I have another tower over on the other side of the valley that I built. And there is one huge staircase leading down to a stronghold. Here's the stairs to the floating castle. There's the Pantheon again. Here's the flower garden. You're starting to see it's actually in the shape of an hourglass. Not the most practical staircase in the world, but pretty cool looking. There it is. Hourglass Park, whatever you want to call it. Too bad so many of the flowers died for whatever weird reason. And here's the castle. Right here is a staircase down to where I stored materials. I built another little sort of bath thing, hot tub pool, whatever you want to call it. And I used to make stuff here. I used those smelting things to build all the bricks that the castle was made out of, and a whole bunch of junk in these things. This was kind of my base of operations for quite a while I built the Colosseum and the Pantheon. And it's pretty cool. Big glass roof. There's a tower on top. I'll go out there. Let's see if we go up this way. These are the stairs to the towers. I got one going down, one going up, and then a staircase between the two of them. And then waterfall going down. Use the waterfall to get down to the ground. And then, let's see. And here there's a way down to where we just got off the mine cart. There's the Colosseum again, the Pantheon again. And this is the big floating castle with a big tower and all kinds of cool stuff. There's the way up over there. So I kind of built this tower hanging over the top of the glass so that it would let more light in, I guess. There's these two towers again. And over here is the hourglass and another railroad leading to somewhere else. And so that's that. That's the big floating castle, the Parthenon, the Pantheon, and the Colosseum, all built by a maniac that likes to place blocks. And there's a portal to the Nether. I use Nether portals to travel between major parts of my my world. A quick way to get to different pieces of it, but they don't stop everywhere. Okay, so we just go down this way. I'm just going to take this waterfall down to the next train track. I built all kinds of pathways and stairways and things going all over the place. And this was all copied and pasted in here, and then I kind of went around the edge of it and tried to make it look natural, like it wasn't a sharp cut and paste from another world. This is a lot longer than I remember it being. Now it's fast. Okay, and I think that's probably the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.